Welcome to the Lights Lounge, your weekly home for all things Las Vegas Lights FC. We'll be here every single week as usual in 2025. You can join us for a deeper dive into everything that happens on the pitch, including match previews and analysis alongside a new guest every single week. After a dramatic 90th minute game-winning goal by Knight Pickering at Indy 11 last Saturday, the Lights now have back-to-back wins under interim head coach Giovanni Troise. Up next, the team has back-to-back home games starting this Saturday for the Jägermeister Cup against Spokane Velocity, and then next Friday against Sacramento for another league match on July 4th itself. So alongside me today to chat about all of this and his journey to Las Vegas, I have the left-footed center back himself, Nate Jones. Nate, welcome to the lounge.
Thanks for having me, Will.
Yeah, happy to have you here. Really want to jump straight into that Indy 11 match because that was an insane trip overall to Indianapolis. So first off, Indy 11 are a big, tough, really experienced team. What was that game like for you from the start?
I mean, coming into the week, we knew that they were going to have size on us, right? And so then it was really important that we focus on our set pieces and just being really safe at the back and make sure we don't get scored on, right? And I think that we were really prepared coming into the game. I honestly, before we got into the field, I was looking at the stands and I'm like, wow, like this is like a crazy big club, right? And I know this game is really important, right? The owners were there, the GM is there, and so we're like, okay, we have to get a result out of this.
What went well early on in the game? I think probably the opening 20 minutes of the game was maybe the roughest part of the game. There was a lot of defending, couldn't really get on the ball, and then I think the team really grew into it over the course of that first half. Yeah, no,
and I think that's probably one of the things we need to work on is the first 10, 15, 20 minutes is like setting the tone, and I think that if we can do that, we'll control the game better because, I mean, over the course of the season, you've seen we've been a second half team where Pickering is scoring these 86, 87, 90th minute goals, right? And so then no, I think once we get a rhythm, we're really good at keeping the ball and playing in their half, but we just need to get to that point early.
Yeah, but still, it's another shutout. And it's Ryko's 7th shutout. It's the team's 8th shutout. I don't know if you know this, but the club record for shutouts in a single season is 9. So quite close to that already. So that's been great. I think since the coaching change, it's been you and Elias as the center back partnership in this back four. Talk to me about your relationship with Elias as the two center backs.
It's kind of been changing throughout the season because I wasn't getting as much time early on in the season, right? And Ellie is one of those guys that's very communicative. He's very he'll make sure like he's not very critical, but he's very helpful in assisting you in what you need to do. And he allows me to be able to like step up into the midfield and win tackles because I know that he's got my back and he's covering me.
Yeah, I mean, Ellie, I think both of you as well, but we joked about it with Ellie when he was on the pod that like he just crushes people in training. Yeah. I was taking Knight to some media yesterday morning, and Steph, our athletic trainer, was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I've got a dead leg here from Nate, and Elias got me on here." And Steph's like, "We'll get you in the cold tub. It's all good." But you guys can, as like a physical duo, are quite big.
Just hitting people. I mean, that's been like my MO from high school to college to even now is like I remember we were doing like rondos and stuff like that at University of Washington, and I would always be stepping on people's feet. I mean, I got like a size 13 foot and I feel bad, like I'm not trying to, but like sometimes it just happens.
You got big long legs. Exactly. You can like leave them out there, catch people. Talk about Ryko as well. Ryko's got 7 shutouts. What's it like playing with him? Does the language barrier come in at all?
No, not really. Okay. It's something just about like the chemistry of like playing over and over again during the season. And Ryko he has this air of like calmness about him that allows us to be able to like, I know that I can play back to him and we're going to be okay playing out of the back, right? Because sometimes if you don't have a keeper that's that confident, it's a little bit iffy, right? But Ryko allows us to play through the back.
Nice. And then the big thing from Indy is obviously Knight's 90th minute game winner. You had subbed off at this point. Malik Howell had come on, so you were on the bench. But if you go back and watch the video on social media, the couple videos that we've put out, you were like the first one there. Dude, it was the opposite corner. When I was behind the camera videoing that, and Omar was photoing it, and you were there immediately. So talk me through that goal, like from the bench, like through your eyes.
Okay, so I remember we were being pushed late into the second half, and Eunice won that ball coming out of the back. And we all seen it during practice, that little banana ball he hit right to Stefan, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a chance to go. So I thought Stefan was going to finish, and I think, was his shot blocked by the keeper or the defender?
The defender,
Defender blocked it. And then he played it, he sweated it across the night, and I'm like, dude, if he finishes this, it's going to be like scenes here. So we...
At this point, like, everyone's off the
everybody's
bench.
Like, we're all standing up. We're like, oh shit, he's going to score. So we go up, and he scores, and everybody just busting it down to the corner. And I remember looking back and seeing Dowda just kind of jogging. I know Dowda's not feeling it, but me and Patrick were in the corner celebrating with Knight. I mean, Pickering has just been doing this all season long, and it's so exciting to see.
Yeah, he's electric. He has a knack for it at this point. Just coming off the bench with 10 minutes left and just go get a game winner.
Exactly.
So, what does it feel like to celebrate an away win like that? Because I feel like celebrating an away win feels different than celebrating at home with your fans, because it's almost like we're
hostile
here.
Environment, kind of. Yeah. I hear you. Dude, I think it was just a big testament to like what this team can really accomplish, right? Because I think early on the season when we went to Lexington, and I know, what was the other away game that we had that was really tough?
Sacramento, a few.
Sacramento. Those are really hostile environments. And to go on the road to Indy, to a team that's been a major part of the USL and is like really big, and to go and win on the road is really important, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for everybody, the room just kind of like lightened up, and in the locker room after the game, everybody's celebrating, like pounding on lockers, screaming, playing music. It was a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little behind the scenes is that at Indy, you kind of have two locker rooms because they're playing at the University of Indianapolis. Yeah. So you've got like this little small locker room that's right under the stands that's not like really big enough to have everyone in.
Exactly.
And then they've got a bigger locker room that's like a 5-minute walk away. And we were like immediately decided that the celebrations were going to be too insane. We needed to go back to the other locker room.
We don't want to trash that place. Exactly. No.
And then Jose's there as well. And then a little behind the scenes for the fans is that Jose immediately is like, everyone take a shower.
Yeah.
I have dinner booked for us. So what was that experience like?
Well, before the game, John told us that he was like, hey, if you guys win, Jose's going to buy you dinner. And in my head, I'm like, really?
Like, no way.
Exactly. I'm not thinking, I'm like, we're going to go like McDonald's or get like free pizza like we always do, right? And then he tells us like, shower up, get ready to go. And I'm like, oh, wait, where are we going? And we go to like this like really nice steakhouse. And I'm just like, dude, this is awesome. But it's so cool to have the support of Jose, right? Because him coming to the games and showing up and just being there really like kind of gives us that push of like, okay, like these people are really invested in us and the club and like us performing well.
Yeah, I think that steakhouse like stayed open for us as well.
100%. Yeah,
I think it was supposed to close at 10 and we rocked up at like 9:45.
Exactly.
And they gave us a whole private room and stayed open for us.
Jose's sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Jose delivered for the squad there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move forward then. Spokane Velocity coming up next on Saturday. This is the final game of the Jägermeister Cup group stage. So just in case anyone doesn't remember, Jägermeister Cup is a tournament between the USL Championship and USL League One teams. There's 6 total groups, so the 6 group winners go through, and the 2 best second place teams. So right now we're going into our final of 4 group stage matches. We're on 6 points. Monterey Bay and Sacramento are also on 6 points, but they have 2 games left.
Yeah.
So we don't really control our own destiny here. All you guys can really do is get a win, put ourselves on 9 points, and then wait to see what Sacramento and Monterey Bay. Yeah. Is that something that the squad's talking about at all, kind of looking at those group standings and understanding what the scenario is?
Yeah, no. Gio mentioned it in a meeting earlier today, talking about how like we need to win this game, right, to put ourselves in the best position to advance. But at the end of the day, it's like we control our own destiny, right? Yeah. And we have to just focus on what we do, right? Because as soon as we start thinking, oh, if this result happens or if this result happens, it messes with the process, right? Yeah. And we just got to keep like pounding it each day in and day out, and just like focus on ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of what happens in the other games, if we don't win this game, we're not going to go through, right?
Exactly.
So you just got to win the game that's in front of you, and then wait and see, and then you see what happens. Talk me through what you guys are seeing from Spokane. They're top of USL League One, so I think it's kind of a trap to be like, oh, well, we're playing a USL League One team, and so it's going to be an easier game. It's similar mentality of what happens in the Open Cup.
Exactly.
But this is a good Spokane team that could probably be pretty competitive in the USL Championship. So what are you guys seeing from them?
No, they're a good team. They're a physical team, and they right now we've been watching like their pressing and their defending, and they're pretty aggressive up front, right? I'm really looking forward to playing them. they're a pretty new club. I
Yeah.
think they were created like a couple years ago, and I mean that's in like my home state, so I know some of the guys on the team, and I know
cool.
that they are. They're up and coming team in USL 1. So I'm excited to play them. I'm excited to see some of the guys, and I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Who do you know on the squad?
Cameron Miller.
Okay.
He's a center back who played at Seattle U, but we also played like summer league for Crossfire.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day, yeah.
Okay, amazing. Is Spokane super far from?
It's not.
I don't excuse my lack of Washington
you're good.
geographical knowledge.
So it's probably about 5 hours away east from Seattle. It's kind of the opposite side of the state, and Washington is kind of divided into two of like the west side and then the east side, and people are very, I wouldn't say very, but they're very different on the west to the east side. It's the east is a lot of farmland, a lot of just rolling hills on the prairie, kind of like that, and then the west side is more city and like that kind of vibe.
The rainy Seattle,
exactly.
Like what people tend to think of.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that'll be an interesting thing for you personally there, and we'll see what the squad can do. Just so fans know, I think Monterey Bay and SAC also play, but then we had a midweek game in the Jägermeister Cup earlier, so we're wrapping up earlier than everyone else. We'll play this game, and then we'll have to wait until I think the end of July when the final Jägermeister Cup round goes through, and we'll see how things pan out. You mentioned Gio earlier. Let's talk a little bit about that coaching change. Since he's come in, obviously back-to-back wins for a 28-year-old head coach. Yeah. It's a pretty unique narrative for you on the ground in training. What has Gio done that has helped this group turn the season around as of right now?
I think Gio's given us the kind of like the blank check to play, right? Because then before I feel like practice was kind of stagnant sometimes, and it was like stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And Gio's kind of allowed us, like even at training yesterday, he it probably went longer than it was supposed to. And we were talking to him like, hey, like I don't know if we should be training that long in the sun like before the game. And he was like, I'm sorry, like I got distracted. I was enjoying watching you guys play too much. And I'm like, see, I mean, I love that. A guy that's just like enthralled with just seeing us play soccer and wanting us to like try things and all that stuff.
Yeah, it seems like in practice you guys are kind of competing against each other a lot more. Yeah. It's a little less walkthrough, a little bit more small-sided games, have a winner, hit the back of the net, feel good, like get those competitive juices flowing. Tactically, what's changed?
I would say we're probably going forward more and keeping the ball more. I think before there was this like we need to break these teams down, and I think now it's like okay, no. If you see the chance, just go for it, right? We're having I don't want to give away like other stuff like tactically,
you
but
don't need
like,
to get too far into it.
But we're having a more offensive mindset going into these games. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think the wing backs are released a little bit more to go higher and wider, and it's I think allowing you, Elias, Malik, whoever's playing center back, a little bit more trust to be one-on-one with a striker or to get dragged into a wide area because Gennaro's gone bombing forward on an overlap. And just, I think, kind of placing the trust in you to deal with that scenario because you guys are all experienced and defenders that can do really well in this league. So at least that's what I've seen from my side. I think towards the end of Antonio Nocerino's tenure, you were sort of out of favor, which tends to be how it goes. Different coaches have their guys and you can fall in and out of the lineup. And you were mostly out of the lineup towards the end there. And then Gio's taken over and you've come kind of straight back into it. Yeah. How was your fitness after not playing a ton of games?
Dude, I'm telling you, that Jägermeister game against Sacramento, I was dead. I looked at Turner like halfway through like the first half, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can make it like, this entire game. Like I haven't played in like 2 months, but no, I picked up an injury there along the line, so I wasn't playing for a couple of weeks, right? And then I guess that's part of like professionals like career, right? Yeah. It's like you're not gonna be in the lineup, you're gonna go in and out, you got to be ready for like whenever. So exactly. So
I think I was talking to Eduardo Gutierrez, he's our physical therapist, and he was saying that you came to him and was like, man, I think can we do a little extra conditioning or something? I think I need to get myself up to speed quicker. So.
100%. And I felt better after Monterey going into Indy. Indy was a little bit different just because of the humidity and the turf, right?
I think everyone was feeling that.
Exactly. And I'm during warm-ups, everybody's like, okay, this is going to be like a long game, right? But no, I'm feeling like I'm back to fitness and like I'm ready to go.
Yeah, amazing. And then I asked you about Elias and Raiko earlier, but also playing next to Gennaro as the kind of the pen and paper left back. What's it like playing with him, and what's the relationship like there?
Dude, Gennaro is probably one of the most competitive people like I know on this team. He wants to win so badly, even in practice, even if it's like a small-sided game, right? And so that kind of like pushes you to be better and being like, okay, like it's not only about like letting myself down. I don't want to let him down, right? Because I see him working so hard. So I mean, seeing somebody compete that hard every day, I just want to keep competing, right? And he's a really quality player, right? Yeah. So then it's been going really well. Like him making those runs forward, allowing him to get up the field, and I can just cover for him. I'm okay with that. I'm good with defending because I mean, at the end of the day, like I enjoy defending, which is kind of funny because I said that to some of our teammates and they were like, "You're crazy. Nobody likes defending." I'm like, "No, I actually enjoy it." That's
you
like
and Elias both. Ellie sat on the podcast here and said the same thing. He's like, "No, I just freaking love defending. Like, it just gets me going."
Exactly.
So I think you have to have that mentality, especially as a center back. You can get away with it as an outside back. You know, you can love going forward.
No, outside backs are just wingers who wanted to play winger, but they weren't like good enough, right? Or they don't have like the technical, but like still.
When I bring Sean Smart on, I'll ask him about that.
He 100% wants to be a winger, dude. There's no chance.
Sean Smart is a winger in his dreams.
At his heart, he is.
For sure. He's wearing number 11 and he's just cutting in on his weak foot and putting stuff in the top 90.
100%.
Okay, cool. Let's rewind then and let's move into kind of your journey to here, because you have an interesting journey and how you arrived in Las Vegas playing in these games. So originally from Seattle, Washington, like we mentioned before. From Seattle proper or from
no, outside. I'm like 45 minutes outside.
Okay.
It's like Gig Harbor. It's a small like fishing village, just like in the Puget Sound.
Okay. Yeah. What was it like growing up in Gig Harbor?
It was good. I mean, pretty safe. I mean, my entire childhood was just kind of revolved around sports, right? That's all I wanted to do, and like it was from basketball, baseball, football, soccer. And that's all I wanted to do every single day, even after school and everything like that. So I think I did basketball and soccer together until about high school, where I ended up having to choose one, right? And at the time I was like a freshman, sophomore. I'm like 5'8", 5'9". Yeah. I'm like, maybe this like NBA thing isn't gonna work out. I'm thinking like I don't think I have the height for basketball. So
how tall are you now?
6'2", 6'3".
Okay. Yeah. Even that for NBA is like not enough.
Exactly.
You gotta be like a 6'6" guy.
100%. So I'm like, I think my chances with soccer are probably better. And it's something that like I've loved from like an early age. My sister, she played in college, right? So she played for Washington Premier, which is like a club 20 minutes away in like Puyallup, Washington. Played center back too. Pretty good. I started up top. I was a forward and 9. Okay. Yeah. Slowly just got pushed back to winger and then back to outside back, and now I'm a center back right now. So didn't have the ability up there. But
is your sister your only sibling?
No, I have a younger brother.
Okay.
Nicholas.
And an older sister?
Older sister, yeah. So we were all playing soccer at one point, right? It was like a big soccer family, and I think my sister's probably the biggest reason why I did end up playing soccer, right? Because my father played football in college and his brother did too. I loved football. I wanted to play it so badly. And my mom's like, nah, we're not going to do that. No, because I'm going to try to protect him. She's being a good parent. Like, I understand it, and I'm grateful now for it.
Right. Yeah. Did you grow up like playing with your sister, or like how much older was she than you?
She's actually 7 years older.
Okay, so quite a big age gap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I didn't end up playing with her really that much. She was more of like, I had to go to all her tournaments and watch her and carry all her stuff and see how she laid the groundwork for like getting recruited to college and everything. So because I wouldn't have known, my mom would have known, we wouldn't have known if she didn't do that for me, right? Yeah. So I really I think she was the biggest part of that.
Okay. I'm seeing on your Wikipedia page, at least, that you also played for Washington Premier. Yeah. What was your kind of youth soccer journey? If you were playing basketball sort of alongside it until high school, where did you start and where did you kind of develop to?
So I think I was in Premier from like the age of 11 to 17, 18.
With Washington Premier?
Yeah. So that was a very fundamental years for me, right? A lot of good memories from there, a lot of great coaches. I still talk to some of them to this day, and I mean, like, I think that they are like the reason I'm here right now, right? And a lot of kids go on to academy to play for Sounders or Crossfire Academy. I was kind of overlooked, and I mean, for either size or quality or whatever reasons, right? Yeah. But I just kept chugging along, and that was kind of like my parents were telling me, like, that's like your superpower is like you just gotta keep working hard, man, and keep grinding away. So Premier until about like 18, and then committed to UW after a camp or regionals or something like that, and then I played for Crossfire for like 6 months, Crossfire Academy.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, because I saw the Crossfire entry in there. Yeah, so you ended up with Crossfire very briefly before heading out.
And that was the coaches at UW wanted me to prepare better for college when I get there, right? And I mean, I felt I was really sad to like leave Premier because that's like my boyhood club, right? But then I go to Crossfire and I meet some new guys, some guys that played at Premier, and a new environment, right? And I think that allowed me to grow and develop a little bit more than I would have if I stayed at Premier, right?
Yeah, sometimes you just have to change your environment.
Exactly.
Right? You can get there's something nice about being comfortable, but there's also something negative about being comfortable. You can it
doesn't push you.
Yeah, you don't become better in that way. If you're just a locked-in starter, there's no one pushing you. There's no pressure. You have to have some sort of pressure to continue to push forward. Were you playing high school soccer at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I played until my junior year because in Washington, the high school soccer season's in the spring, right? And so COVID ended up stopping that before my senior year, which I was really sad about. But I mean, we
I was spring high school soccer in South Carolina as well. So we're one of the 12 or 13 states that also do it like that. Yeah. So it's club soccer in the fall, high school soccer in the spring.
I like it that way.
I think it's the better way to do it.
It is because you're going into the summer and the weather's getting nicer for playoffs and state, right? So no, I played freshman, sophomore, and junior year, all in varsity. Dude, high school soccer is the best. I'm telling you.
I love when one of you guys come on the pod and love high school soccer because I loved high school soccer. And I think the guys that played academy or, whatever, played for an MLS academy or played for a big academy and didn't play high school soccer, like, cool, you get this great developmental environment, but you do miss out on some incredible memories.
100%. I mean, the bus rides to and from games, like playing in front of your fans and like the student sections, that's like the best part. And I remember just like, I think we got third my freshman year in state, and then each year I think we got knocked down round of 8 or round of 16, something like that. But like
we're playing in like meaningful games
100%,
that are like life or death. Like we have to win this playoff game. It's like the most important thing in the world to you at the time. You're so nervous
before the game, and you're like, dude, I gotta score, because you're like, I know there's like a dance coming up, or like maybe a girl wants to ask me. She's in the stands right now. I'm like, I gotta perform. But my coaches also they let me play like kind of wherever I wanted to. So I ended up playing like the 8 and then 10, right? I'm scoring goals. That's 100% because I'm a center back at club, right? I'm like, dude, I'm gonna like spread my wings and fly a little bit out here. So yeah.
That's awesome. I remember when I was playing high school soccer, it was so fun because we'd play club soccer in the fall, and I played for like the biggest club in the region, and then we'd go play high school soccer in the spring, and we would all kind of divide up into the high schools.
And then you end up playing your team.
And then you're like, you're playing your boys, and then it's like, and then you roll back around to club soccer, and it's bragging rights for the next year. You're talking crap all fall, and then you roll into high school soccer in the spring. It's like the best cycle ever.
Yeah, no, I had that. I remember we played, we were in a different division right before I got to high school, right? So then I ended up switching to 3A, and we ended up playing North Thurston. And I had like 3 or 4 friends from my club team on there. And I remember like I got the satisfaction of like, I never lost to them. Like that was the best feeling ever. Cause I remember I'm like, I can't wait to go back to club. But if I lose, it's gonna be the worst. Yeah. It's gonna be the worst if I lose.
No, absolutely. We would be texting each other during the week. Like, I'll see you on Saturday.
Exactly.
Like, the best. Okay. How did you end up committing to University of Washington? How did that recruiting process go?
So I wasn't really highly recruited kind of coming out of Washington. And I mean, it was kind of funny because I remember in our meeting right before I got the offer, Jamie kind of came up to me and he's like, where have you been like this entire time? Like, have you just been hiding from us? I'm like, no, I've been here just playing, like grinding it out. It's just like, you just got to get lucky sometimes. So at regionals, I remember it was my junior year going into my senior year, and we were playing in Idaho, and I remember I had a great game against like this top prospect at the tournament, right? I like scored a goal, and then I like locked him down, and we won. And so then I ended up getting the invite after that to a UWID camp, right? Yep. And for Washington, they need like I think all 3 coaches to see you before they like offer you, right? So then I do the ID camp, I play well, and then I think I have another tournament, and they come see me there, right? And I just remember after that getting the call, or actually in the meeting with them, and they kind of like, yeah, no, we really want you to come to Washington, like. We'd like to have you here. But I'm assuming that like in these meetings they like slide a piece of paper across and like this is like our offer. Like that. But they didn't do that. So I'm like, are they offering me or not? I'm sitting there just kind of frozen. And I remember my sister there, she goes, I think Nate wants to come to school here. And they're like, Nate, would you like that? I'm like, yeah. I like that. So definitely some nerves.
The whole like,
and, like
verbal commitment process, 100%. And then you get the actual.
Yeah, because I mean everybody sees like the college football and college basketball commitment, and they think that's like how it actually goes down. But no, I was really excited to go there, right? Because that was like a dream, and so happy.
Yeah. did anyone go to Washington, or was it just because Washington's like the big school?
It's the big school.
It's the name recognition, and obviously they're an incredible men's soccer program. It's not just a big school. So
100%. I went to some ID camps. I went to like CRU and Gonzaga and some other like schools in that region, right? And honestly, Washington was like the big dog in like the state, and I wanted to go play for them, right?
Pun intended.
Exactly. I think my mom, she worked there for a little bit, but I was the first one to attend the University of Washington.
Okay. Yeah, so it wasn't like a family legacy or anything, my dad went there and played football or anything like that. Okay, cool. So then we finish up, you go to Crossfire, do your last bit of youth development, and then head off for your freshman year. But as you're finishing up that spring senior year, the pandemic hits, So then you go into college in that like weird pandemic.
It was weird.
Fall, like, right?
Yeah, because we ended up having to push the season to spring. And so I remember we stopped in February, and then I kind of had like 6 months of summer, which is pretty good. I got to just hang out, and like it was a good time to play soccer like every single day, right? Yeah. And then we get to college, and then we're in these dorms, and there's nobody in the dorms besides like the athletes. And everything's like very strict. Like you can't really have like too loud noise. You can't play music loud. You can't be in the elevator with more than like 2 people. Yeah. It's really strict. And so then it was kind of just different. And I was really worried that I wasn't going to get the college experience, right? Because of COVID. And so we pushed the season to spring. I remember we ended up getting to like the Elite 8. I played in a couple games, I think, my freshman year because we had a couple injuries, right?
Yeah, I think you had 8 games and 2 starts over the course of 16 games, which for a true freshman is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, no, and I was super nervous going into those games.
Yeah,
right?
I bet.
I didn't really know or think I was going to play that year, but no, I had a good group of guys around me.
Yeah.
Right? And
what was the level like when you arrived? Was there any shock factor first couple of training sessions?
Yeah, no. I think we had 6 or 7 center backs there. I remember we had Ethan Barlow and Freddie Kleeman. Freddie, who's on Sacramento right now, and then Ethan Barlow, who's on Houston Dynamo. Yeah. Quality center backs, like really good. And so I'm sitting here like a little freshman, like I'm trying to emulate these guys. I'm trying to hit passes like Barton. I'm trying to hit people like Freddie. Yeah. And you kind of just find your way through that, and you kind of stumble your way into like, how do I want to play? Like, what's my identity as like a center back, right? Yeah. And so no, the level was really good. I mean, we have like a Mac Herman finalist playing on that team. You have like Lucas Meek and these other dudes who are just like legends at UW soccer. Yeah. I mean, it's a good start. And then, you go to the NCAA tournament. It's a little bit of a different NCAA tournament because of that weird year in the spring. But you guys won 2 games and then fell to Pitt in the quarters, which I think is Valentine Noel's Pitt. Have you guys talked about that or realized that happened? We're locker neighbors. Okay. So then we were talking about it, and he's like, I think I played you like freshman year. And I was like, I didn't play on the field, but like I remember watching that from the sideline and being like, wow, like Pitt is really good. And I was surprised that they didn't win the College Cup that year. Yeah. But no, they're quality. They were a quality team. And I mean, you can see that with Val right now, how good of a player he is and how he fit into their system. So when we had Val on the pod, that Pitt team was so stacked. They have a bunch of guys that are in the USL Championship at this point and are like bang on starters. So so then going into sophomore year, things kind of become quote unquote normal again, and you sort of get that normal college experience going into that fall of 2021 going into 2022. So it looks like the team was incredible this year, by the way. Yeah. You were kind of bit part. You played in 12 games. You had 2 starts. The team went 18-2-2 and lost in the national championship. Yeah. But first, before we get to there, what was your second year like coming in? Or did you have goals of like, okay, now it's time for me to take a step forward? Or what were you thinking going into that year? I think it was just kind of coming into my own, right? Because the first year you're just trying to like shake off like the nervousness, right, and the jitters. And then the second year it's just like, how can I build myself up of like being in the weight room every day during the winter, right? Doing conditioning and just being the best prepared you can be. Because now I know like, hey, like there's going to be injuries during the year. It's a long year. Or not a long year. It's a condensed season. Yeah. But there's a lot of games. So people are going to get hurt. And so then I was like, okay, I got to be ready. I ended up coming in and playing like 20 or 30 minutes against Georgetown. I remember just having to be ready for that because I know that was like going to be the biggest game of my life up to that point. Yeah. Right. And so that team was unbelievable. We had a bunch of returners, right? A lot of leaders on that team. And I remember that the thing about it was we're a serious program, but I think we like to find the joy in soccer and being around each other. And I think that's honestly why we got that far, is like, how can we enjoy this game that we like have the privilege of getting to play every single day. And so, I mean, after each win, we'd be like celebrating with the guys, and everybody just kind of would be one unit together.
Yeah. Yeah, you were, so that Georgetown game that you referenced is the College Cup semifinal, right? So that's in Cary, North Carolina at NCFC Stadium. I totally missed this with Stefan's episode last, but that's Steph's Georgetown.
That's Georgetown. Yeah, we did talk about that.
So you would have been defending Steph like almost directly over that, like that sub appearance. Yeah, because you guys scored 2 goals back to back, and then they scored in like the 80th minute. Yeah. While you were probably had just come on the field. I just came on.
They scored. Yeah. I remember. I don't honestly remember Stefan that much. Yeah. But I mean, dude, that was also a really good Georgetown team. I'm thinking if Dante Pettis was on that team at that point, but
that Georgetown team was really good.
They were. But I
but think, also so were you guys. I mean, what a heavyweight match.
Exactly.
At the College Cup.
And at the end of the day, it's just like who can just put the ball in the back of the net, right?
Yeah.
And so no, I think we met them. We played them before I got to Washington in the Elite 8 at Georgetown, and that's where we lost. And so I think some of the guys had that like chip on their shoulder of like, we need to get some revenge, right?
Yeah. Did you sub in as a left-sided center back? Is that where you were playing?
Yeah, because Rylan Saylor, I think he dislocated his shoulder at that point, exactly. And so they're like, all right, you need to go in. And so then I go in, close out until I think like the end of the game, and then we ended up winning. Insane. That feeling of being like, okay, we're going to like the national championship game. We get to play for that on Monday. So that was crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah. So then go to the national championship game, which is once again small soccer world at this point, which is Sean Smart's Clemson. Which you guys end up losing, I think 2-0. I think Isaiah Reed scored those 2 goals.
He did.
What was that? I mean, obviously you didn't play in that game. Did Ryan Taylor recover from his dislocated shoulder, or what was the
no we I think he was on a bunch of like pain pills and stuff like that,
but just got through it.
Exactly. There's gonna be nobody who's gonna stop him from playing in that game. No chance. I understand that he'd been there for 6 years, right? And this is his moment of being like, I've led this team this far with everybody, I'm gonna like finish it out. So he was a good leader for those guys, right? And he showed that on the field. So watching that from the sideline, I was really envious of those dudes playing out there because it was really quality soccer, right? And stuff just happens, and that's at the end of the day, that's soccer, right? Yeah. And so I'm really sad I didn't get a chance to compete against those guys. Yeah.
Well, any crap from Sean on that? Does Sean bring it up? He likes to bring it up too.
Does. No,
he loves to remind you that he played at Clemson.
Exactly, and to like trash talk about it. I'm like, dude, you were there for like a year and a half. What are you talking about? Like, I was at Washington for 4 years. Like, dude, like, chill out. He's like, I'm Clemson, man. I beat you guys. I'm like, and you guys got to tell you guys you lost. Like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, you don't really have much of a comeback, which sucks. Yeah. Okay, so then that year ends in a bit of heartbreak. You take on the spring season, and then you go into junior year, which is now you're an upperclassman. Some of these guys like Ryan Saylor are graduating. Bartlow's left. Those kinds of guys. It's time for you to step into the team. I think you played for Crossfire Redmond in the NPSL that summer, maybe. Was that like a conscious decision to prep yourself for that fall and continue taking steps forward as a player?
Oh yeah, I mean they love me at Crossfire, and I love those guys a lot too, because they I think they put trust in me. Yeah. And the fact that I kept coming back to play for them over the summer, right? And that was really important to me, because I have a lot of friends who I grew up playing against and with on that Crossfire team. And so it was a chance for me to like kind of come into my own and start taking that step forward of like, okay, now I'm going to be a starter on Washington. I've got to compete for that stuff. I need to lock into this, right? Yeah. So then
again, too different environment too. Sometimes you need to switch your environment, compete against different players, have different coaches, give opinions on your game.
100%. And like Bill Colella was a coach at Crossfire, and I love Bill. He was a great coach, and he allowed us to kind of really do what we wanted out there, and he gave us like the freedom to do that. And so then we ended up going on a run actually in the NPSL playoffs to the national championship for that. Come up short again against what was the team? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I can look it up, but
it's okay. But I remember we were traveling all that summer because we went to Michigan at one point. We were playing in San Francisco. We won in PKs against El Farolito. They're a good NPSL team. Yeah. They're a scrappy bunch. And then
they're the ones that made the Open Cup run this year, Farolito. Exactly. The burrito team.
They had the trucks parked right outside the stadium in San Fran. But we beat them. We go to Grand Rapids in Michigan. Muskegon, play them, beat them, and then we go to Jersey. I'd never been to New York or Jersey before, so that was a whole experience in and of itself, right? So come up short again. I'm disappointed, but still like a great run to be a part of, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. So then you jump into your junior year, full starter, 20 games, 19 starts, got 2 goals and an assist. Team went 15-2-3. Number 2 overall seed in the NCAA tourney. You were an all Pac-12, all conference second team selection. So big year for you. I feel like you kind of deliver on the potential and the promise at this point and sort of step into your own for a team that was very, very good.
And I felt I got to be a different type of defender, because before I was kind of like a skinny freshman. I feel like I was like, okay, I need to start being physical, and like if I want to like compete in the team, I need to start scoring goals too. And so then I see that carry into like my senior year, but junior year was a lot of fun, right? We go on like the win streaks of like game after game after game of like, I'm confident we're going to get this result, right? And I remember we played Michigan State at home. That was like a big weekend. Like all the Michigan State fans were there because the football game was there, and like I just remember like carrying the momentum throughout that season, and that's just like when you catch that streak, it's fun. Do
you remember your goals? Looks like Oregon State and San Diego State. Do you remember them? Were they off corners? What were they?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my Oregon State one was it was in Corvallis in like the 86th, 87th minute, a flick header. I remember that because we were losing 1-0, and I was like, okay, we cannot.
A 1-1 draw, rescue point.
Exactly. And we don't have overtime anymore, and that's what I'm so sad about, because college soccer with Golden Goal, my sophomore year before.
Did they get rid of it going to that junior year?
Exactly.
Man, I mean, I played D2 college soccer, and I will die on this hill. Bring Golden Goal overtime back to college soccer.
Gosh,
honestly, bring Golden Goal overtime back to any level of soccer. Not like regular season for us, but like in the playoffs, give me Golden Goal overtime. High stakes. It is the best.
100%. I loved it. And I just remember how many dog piles you have at the end of the games after scoring on set pieces or something, and just like it's the best. But we ended up tying that one in the San Diego State. I remember scoring on a former teammate who was at UW the previous year.
And I remember transferred out.
Yeah. And I had that little shit-eating grin after I scored. I was like,
that's amazing.
Man, I got one. But it was like it was a funny goal. But a lot of set pieces.
That's awesome. And then you guys are, I mean, at this point, you're nationally ranked throughout this year, and end up being the number 2 seed in the tourney. So you have a bye through the first round, but then get upset by Creighton 3-1 in that first round. Do you remember that game? And I guess how disappointing that must have been. That must have been tough.
Yeah, no, that was heartbreaking, because you felt like it can't end all right now, right? So it was 1-1 going into like the 80th minute, right? And we're playing. I remember we were like executing our game plan pretty well. There's a lot of fans, like we have the atmosphere going, and we're like, okay, I think if we can get this game, like if we can score in these like next 10 minutes, we can like sets us up for the next week. But no, Duncan McGuire, like a great forward, he just comes and scores 2 goals in like 5 minutes against us.
I forgot that Creighton team had Duncan McGuire.
They were, and it was off 2 transitions. I remember that, and they ended up having a great run that year. So I mean, props to them. But heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's tough. And then I guess, especially with the context of how your senior year ends up going, your senior year for you is great as a pure individual. I think you got 3 goals, 2 assists, 18 games, 18 starts, but the team went 5, 6, and 7, kind of missed out on everything. And compared to these previous 3 years we've talking about, like that must have been a different experience for you. You're kind of used to just winning and just being in the national championship conversation, and then all of a sudden have a season where you aren't as a senior. Again, tough scenario to be
where
in.
I want to be. No, that was difficult, and I think that's kind of part of the trials and tribulations of your career, right? You're gonna have seasons like that all the time, and I mean, I still love my guys. I mean, we competed like every single day. I remember we tied my senior day 1-1 against Stanford. We got scored on like the 89th minute, right? It's heartbreaking, and seasons just happen like that sometimes. And I mean, I'm happy I had a good year, but at the end of the day, it's like, would I have traded like all the stats for like us making a deep run in the tournament? Like 100%.
Yeah, definitely. College soccer can kind of tend to go like that. Like it is only 18 games. Like that's kind of where we are in the season right now.
Halfway,
if you just cut our season off, but we played that season in like 2 less months.
Exactly.
You're just playing like Wednesday, Saturday. So if you get on a little bad run and you lose 5 games in a row, all of a sudden like the whole season is kind of down the drain. So it's really high stakes in that way.
Yeah.
But you were first team all conference in Pac-12 there. Does the Pac-12 not have a tournament? Not have a conference tournament?
No, we only
This was confusing me when I was looking through because I was like just so used to seeing like regular season, conference tournament, NCAA tournament.
And that's almost closer to NCAA basketball, right? Where they have the conference tournament for the extra seeding. But because the Pac-12 only has 6 teams with men's soccer because of Title IX, we end up playing both teams or all other 5 teams twice. It's like a home and away series, which is more alike to like professional soccer where you got a home game and you got an away game against those teams. So I mean, that sets it up for like a lot of like rematches with teams of like, okay, we're gonna have to grind this one out after the first one. Yeah,
it can be difficult to beat the same team twice
100%,
in a way because you can't do it the same way twice most often. You also played for Vermont Green FC, I think, over the summer heading into that senior season. How did that happen? I mean, how do you end up in Vermont? That feels really random compared to what we've talked about, which is a very Washington-centric story 100%. So far.
So I'm going into summer, and I remember Jamie came up to me and he's like, there's like a really cool team in Vermont that they just started up like a year or 2 ago. I was wondering if you wanted to go play for them. And I'm like, I've never been to Vermont, sure. And he's like, really didn't take any convincing. I'm like, no, man, I got nothing else to do. Because I was planning on going back to Crossfire, right?
Yeah.
Because those guys treated me so well. And so then I was like, okay, I'll go to Vermont. Hop on a plane to Vermont. I've never been to the state of Vermont. I've barely been to the East Coast, right? So I have no idea what I'm getting into. I remember I get there, just all green, like for miles, it's just green trees and everything like that, right? And meet the coaches, meet the guys. Like that is a great place to be, right? I love the people of like Burlington and Vermont, right? The hype around the crowds, the facilities, everything is like great, right?
Yeah.
And I would suggest like if there's any college guys that like have a chance to go play for them, go play for them because it'll change your life. Like I'll never forget like my summer in Burlington.
Yeah. Is there a specific memory from that summer playing for Vermont that stands out?
I'm trying to think. Did we have any like big games that we won there or anything like that?
Were you in like club housing?
Yeah, they put us in like club housing with all the guys, right? And so then I actually had, this killed me. I roomed with 3 or 4 Creighton guys. Yeah, no, and that
tough.
Was exactly. Right after you just got upset and just like punch in the face. You're like, damn, man. And they're like, aren't you that Washington center back? I'm like, nah, man. So we end up, you room with those guys. That's a great time. And I mean, like 4th of July in Burlington is fantastic with the fireworks on, was it Lake Champlain, I think. Yeah. So then I remember that was probably like my favorite memory. Oh, I also had another Washington teammate come out there, Gabe Thurgold, who ended up transferring to Syracuse after that season with Vermont. And so, I think just playing with all those guys and traveling on the bus to away games, it almost kind of brought back an element of like high school soccer to it, where you're playing in front of the crowds and the fans who like love you to death, right? And so you'll be walking throughout Burlington and people are like, oh, you're the Vermont Green player, and like, yeah, what's up? Like you feel the love. You really feel the love.
That's cool to kind of get like recognized for the first time like in the wild, which is probably not an experience you'd had up until that point just playing college soccer.
I mean, college soccer is kind of like a small ecosystem. Yeah. So like you know all the athletes, you see them every single day, right? And so then, like outside of that, I'm not football, I'm not basketball, right? Yeah. In Seattle, because like you see like Penix walking around, and everybody's like, oh, I know that guy, I recognize him, but nobody knows like the soccer guys like that. Yeah. So getting recognized was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's pretty sick. So then that senior year does wrap up after you play for Vermont Green, and you end up getting drafted pretty high. Obviously decision to enter the drafts, that was kind of always the plan, like finish your 4 years at Washington. Did you have any thought of going into the draft early after your junior year, or were you always going to go back for your senior year?
I think I was always going to go back for my senior year. I think that was part of the development. My coaches kind of saw that too, to take that next step forward, because we had one of our center backs leave, and he's like, okay, like the other guy was I think a 5th year or 6th year, right? And so then he was like the leader at the back. It's like, okay, now it's your turn to be like the big leader at the back. So, no, I think the plan was to leave after my senior year. That was a hard decision. It was a really hard decision to stay, because I mean, I loved the University of Washington. Like,
because you could have done a 5th year?
I could have done a 5th year
because of the COVID year.
I had the COVID year. Exactly. So, I mean, that was probably the hardest decision I've had to make up to that point in my life, right? So my coaches, I talked to them, and they think like, hey, I think in terms of your development, this was probably the best decision. But you have to make it at the end of the day. It's your decision. So I was like, okay. So I thought it over, talked to my family, and I ended up deciding to leave.
Yeah. So then you enter the draft, and you get drafted 5th overall. You've got a crazy draft story. So let's walk through draft night, because I'm just curious how this actually panned out from your side. So the nuts and bolts of it are that you got selected 5th overall by Austin FC, and then you got traded probably like 30 minutes later when the 31st pick rolled around. And Austin sent you plus the 34th pick to Colorado in exchange for some GAM, which is an allocation of money that's used in MLS, and the 31st pick, which they use to take another player. Okay, so you get selected by Austin. Are you like, I'm selected by Austin, okay, great, getting ready for Austin preseason? Yeah. And did you have any idea you were going to get traded 30 minutes later?
No clue. So I got picked, and then I'm on the phone with the GM, and then I get off the phone. I get a bunch of these followers. I get like maybe 500 followers from Instagram, right? From like all these Austin fans and everything. They're like sending me social media, like, hey, can you send a post for our social media team and all this stuff? And I'm like, okay, like I got the scarf on and everything.
Great.
My agent calls me. He's like, hey man, how do you feel about Colorado? And I'm like, I'll take anybody who like wants to take me. And he's like, okay. So then I'm doing the Colorado scarf thing now. I'm doing the social media with them and everything like that. And that was crazy. Such a switch up, but a very emotional night, right? Because it is like a lot of hard work and everything comes to fruition, right? Your parents are like crying, my brother, my sister there, my grandparents. So that was a pretty crazy night.
Did you set it up? Did you set up like a draft party from home? And did they have like the camera on, the remote camera on you and everything?
The camera of me shitting myself sitting there. Yeah, dude, because that's the kind of nervousness I never had before. I'm used to just playing. Playing is easy sometimes, but like when you get in front of those cameras and having to do interviews, it's just different, right? And so no, just my family, and I wanted to keep it kind of small at that just because those are like the most important people to me.
Yeah. So after all of that chaos, you're like, okay, well, I'm a Rapids player then. Yeah. So then you get on the call with the Rapids GM, and you're like, okay, we're going to go to preseason. What's the process from there?
Get on the phone with the coaches. Armis ended up coming there. He was the new head coach from, I think, New York, Red Bulls, but he's also had experience in England for United. So just like a legend himself. We end up flying out to Colorado, I think within a week or two. We had preseason, but the thing about Colorado is they do preseason in Mexico, right? Because the weather's too cold there, right? It's like in the winters.
Yeah, it's January.
Exactly. It's miserable. And it's just
Denver.
And so I get to Denver and it's -15, it's snowing, and I'm sitting there in the hotel like, what am I doing? Where am I? Because I was excited, but then somebody's like, Austin's like really nice this like time of year, and I'm like, I had no idea. And so then I get there, we leave to Querétaro. It was pretty good. Preseason is tough. Yeah, those guys are like college soccer is very different from professional soccer in terms of just like the style of play, the speed of play. I think the speed of play is probably the biggest thing in decision making. Yeah, and so I think that was something I really needed to work on as soon as I got there.
Yeah. What was that? Were there a couple sessions off the jump where you were like, oof, not a great session from Nate Jones there?
There was a couple of those. I was sitting there just like, dude, what is going on? I feel like my head was just spinning around in a circle during those. But it's all about just trying to find yourself and trying to get comfortable as quickly as you can. Yeah, which is the hardest part for a lot of guys.
Yeah, were you a part of that entire first team preseason through 2024?
No, I ended up going to the second team preseason after Mexico and Tampa, and then playing with them, and then ended up spending the majority of the season with the second team.
Okay, got you. Yeah, because center backs on that roster were like Andreas Maxo, Abubakar. Who else was there that you were learning from?
Michael Edwards, Chacon. Yeah. I'm trying to think, was there any other guys that were on there?
Yeah, but some experienced center backs. Yeah, that are like so you did. I mean, did you walk away from that opening stint in Mexico having seen those guys and be like, okay, like that's the level I have to reach, kind of?
100%. No. I watched Maxu a lot because Maxu is the guy that's been a veteran. He played for the Danish national team and all that stuff, and he's been in the league for I don't know how many years now, but he is it's something about having that composure as a center back that he really had and how he carried himself on the field. And that kind of, I was trying to emulate that. And I was looking at him every session, like during the year, because I would go into first team a couple times a month to go practice with them for scrimmages. And I'll just watch Max too and see what he did and try to copy that.
Yeah, nice. So you go back with the next pro team, Colorado Rapids 2. You put in like 26 appearances over the course of that year. You're obviously training with the first team on a semi-regular basis. What was that experience in next pro like? I mean, 26 appearances with 24 starts. Experience is experience. The team wasn't particularly good, but I don't know. It's a development league, so sometimes that's not the most important thing.
No, it depends on like the team. And so like the year before they were really good, and so then all those guys end up going up to the first team, right?
Right.
And so then it's kind of like we're engaging in a rebuild.
Yeah.
And no, it is about getting games in. And so then I was happy that I was able to play as much as I did, right? Getting to know those guys and the coaching staff, I think that was a really tight group. I love the coaches and everything like that, but sometimes like the results just don't go your way, right? And so then that year was about trying to become more comfortable on the field of like building out and passing, because in college it was a more direct game, right? So then I'm trying to take the steps of like staying after practice, getting extra reps of like playing out of the bag, playing calm and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what was my next question was, what was the biggest improvement point for you over the course of the season? It sounds like the defending and maybe the physicality of the game comes easier to you
100%.
Versus that like line splitting passes, building out of the back is what you had to add to your game.
Exactly, because I feel like I've always had the athleticism, which is why I was like, sometimes I was like, man, what if I play football? Like, I don't know, right? I can be the receiver or something like that, just get off the line quick. But no, it was taking more, it was focusing more on passing the ball and completing those passes and just being consistent. I remember Drew Moore, one of the coaches at Colorado, telling me like, hey, like, just start the attack. Just start the attack every single time. You don't need to be doing anything crazy or anything special. As a center back, you just need to be consistent. Yeah. And you'll have a long career. So taking that advice, I'm just like, okay, how can I be calm and play out of the back?
As you approach the end of that MLS Next Pro season, obviously the decision to come here, because you're here on loan, so you're still a Colorado Rapids player on loan for the entire 2025 season here in Las Vegas. That decision happened really early. January 21st is when we announced it, which means it was agreed a little bit while before that, which means you never would have even gone to preseason with Colorado to start the year. So how early did those conversations start at the end of 2024? Said, hey, we're thinking that maybe a loan is the right move for Nate right now.
So I think I was lifting at the time. I was getting ready for preseason with Colorado, and I get a call like, hey, like, I think we're going to send you on loan somewhere. So I wasn't really notified before that, right? Cool. And sometimes that just happens, right? Yeah. And so then I'm like, okay, where am I going to go? We're not really sure. I know Vegas and a couple other teams that were like on the radar. Ended up going to Vegas or getting called to go there. And I was like, dude, I've never lived in Vegas before. This is going to be weird, because Vegas is such an interesting place to live, right? It is. Because a lot of people don't understand what it's like to be here outside of vacation, right? And so then I have to get my stuff. I fly back to Denver, pack up all my stuff in my apartment, and then I fly to Vegas. Yeah. Parents drive my car down to Vegas, and I'm just like, it's just like a whirlwind. It just happened so quickly too. Yeah.
For you now, as we kind of think about, now you're at a point where you can kind of speak to the loan a little bit and the experience that you're starting to get as you are in the team and playing games. Is there a big difference in the experience that you're getting right now playing games here in USL Championship versus playing in MLS Next Pro or another sort of more development league?
No, the difference is this is a league full of like older, more grown people who have experience outside of like MLS, right? And so it is about like playing in front of crowds again, right? Because MLS Next Pro doesn't have a lot of crowds. It's a lot of development, right? It's a lot of young and academy kids in MLS Next Pro, which makes sense. I mean, they're trying to build the next generation of players, right? And so then I think championship is just about like quicker pace, quicker decision making, playing in front of crowds, and games that are like really, really meaningful.
Yeah, adding that pressure back that maybe doesn't exist elsewhere.
And so, I've enjoyed it so much so far, right? It's been a roller coaster, right? In the season, and that's how seasons go, right? Right. But if you just got to stay consistent every single day.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. Indy 11 is a great example of the value of playing in this league. That's a team with a bunch of guys that are 30 plus years old that have over 100 professional appearances under their belt, and they are like a hard-nosed, fully professional, like the whole the cliche of like playing against men kind of thing. Exactly. Like they know how to win games, and those kinds of games for you at this point in your development are really valuable. So then let's talk about a little bit about your season individually so far. And and expound on the loan a little bit more for you coming into this season and now at this point, goals as an individual for this season and then maybe as a team?
I think coming to the year, I wanted to be like the best defender I could be in terms of, as I mentioned earlier, consistency, right? If I can stay consistent and like deliver results, deliver clean sheets, pass the ball really well, I think that were some of the goals I had going into it. So like I worked a lot in the offseason with EJ. He's like a trainer back in Seattle.
Okay.
Him and a center back from Lexington, Kendall Burks, who's my teammate at Washington.
Yeah.
We practiced a lot of passing, a lot of like footwork drills. And so coming to the year, I was like, okay, I need to be like the best player I could be to like really take that step. And coming into preseason and then throughout the year, I was really unsure how it was going to work out, right? I wasn't sure if like all the work I had done in the offseason was going to pay off. But then like slowly and incrementally, you'll see it kind of come up where it's like before I would have had to focus more, but on a touch, right?
Yeah.
But now it's more just natural because it took so many reps before that, right? And so sometimes it just takes time.
Yeah.
And the season's so long professionally because as you mentioned earlier, college is so condensed. Where over the course of a professional season, it's so long. So it's just about like coming in every day and just focusing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with college, it's almost like the games come so thick and fast. Yeah. You're just recovering.
You have no time to think. No time to think.
Yeah, you're just like, I need to give like a 9 out of 10 performance every single day, and then I'm just like recovering mentally. 100%. Whereas I feel like the professional game asks you to deliver more 6s and 7s over a very long period of time. Like there's especially as a center back, there's a lot of value for a head coach that just knows like, hey, if I put Nate in the starting 11, I'm going to get a 6 or 7 out of 10 every single game. And occasionally maybe might get an 8, 9, 10. He might score from a corner. He might just have like an incredible game, but I just know I'm going to get a 6 or 7 out of him, right? Like I think that's what Ellie does really well as well.
And that's like really important, right?
Yeah.
And it's to have the coach's trust, because that's the biggest thing is like if they have their trust in you and they can worry about like other parts of the game, it makes their job a lot easier. And then it makes your job easier because you're able to go out there every day and perform, right? Yeah. And so, you're right. 6s and 7s and 8s, those are important. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I always ask this to wrap up the whole conversation because I find it interesting when, you're asked to break down your entire life from youth soccer all the way through to here. Looking back on this, having talked about every single season and every single move, do you look back at anything in your journey that you think's like a special part or is a big reason why you're here today? What would be the one or two?
That's a deep question.
Yeah, what's like the one or two that you pick out and go, wow, that was a big crossroads moment or fork in the road moment?
So growing up, I think I always wanted to play college soccer. That was something I like always wanted to do. And I wasn't really sure about the professional game, right? And so then I get to college, and I remember having those conversations with the coaches, and they told me at the time, hey, like, if you like put your head down and work really hard and you perform well, there's like the possibility of like a professional career after college. And I hadn't really thought about that before, right? And so I think that was like a big moment of like, oh yeah, I can do this. If I really like put my will to it, right? And so I think that was a big moment. And then
that's the value of going to a big program like Washington that knows how to turn college soccer players into pros. Yeah, and they have that transition is hard, and they 100%. Have exposure and connections and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. No, and so that was I think that was a really important moment. And then I'm trying to think. Parts of watching it, but also parts of like high school soccer of like not forgetting to like enjoy it, because it's like at the end of the day it is a job, but it's like it's a different type of job. It's probably the best in the world. Right. I get to kick a ball for a living. I get to hang out with the guys. Like it's the best.
Yeah, I think it's important to remind yourself of that because the life of a professional athlete is very boring at times. As much as like the highs are very high, right? You're here at Cashman Field on match day and like people want your autograph and it's like a huge thing, but like the daily life of a professional athlete is in fact not the most exciting thing. It's very routine based. It's very come in, do your prep, do your training, do your recovery, do a podcast with me, go home, recover, and like hang out, right? And then come back and do it the next day.
Exactly.
So remembering to like find the joy and remember why you love doing it.
Yeah, in those little moments.
Yeah. Especially when you're stringing together, you want to string together a 10, 15, 20-year career. It's
100%.
It's a whole lot of routine. It's a whole lot of training sessions.
Joe Zhao's been through a lot of routine.
Yeah. It's a whole lot of saying no. Like, if you've got a bunch of college friends that are like going off to do like a big weekend trip, like your life as a professional athlete doesn't let you do a lot of those things. So there are some sacrifices to the journey, I think.
No, you're right. I mean, I see those texts in the group chat all the time of like, where are we going this weekend? What are we doing for the vacation? All this other stuff. And you just have to remember like why you're here and why you're doing it, right? And I mean, I get opportunities that other people might not get, right? To go travel and see the country, and to meet different people and to make those connections and to keep playing the game I love. So at the end of the day, I'm lucky to be here. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're happy to have you and happy to see you playing and doing really well. Awesome. So hopefully it continues to go well throughout the course of the year. So fans out there, next opportunity to see Nate. You've got back-to-back opportunities to see him on the field starting this Saturday in the Jägermeister Cup for Pride Night against, who are we playing? Spokane Velocity. Yep. That's the team. We're an hour in. It's been a long pod. And then July 4th, we got fireworks here. Come on out on Friday. We're playing Sacramento for a little bit of a redemption game in the league. So Nate, thanks for the time, and we'll see you next time.
It's gonna fall in behind for Pizza.